Welcome back, folks, as we go inside the locker room today with Dave Rudrud, longtime wrestling coach, among other things, and, of course, the founder of the Bi-State Wrestling Classic, which is coming up pretty quick. Dave, welcome to Seven River Sports.
It's always nice to visit with sports announcers and old friends. Terry and I go way back. He graduated from Logan a year in front of me, and I always just kind of watched him. He was an athlete, and I was just there. Yeah, you do have to keep track of that guy.
So, as kind of an introduction, there's probably not many people in the area that don't know you, but give us a quick rundown on your coaching involvement over the years.
Well, I was a head coach, I guess, at Holman for the last 28 years in wrestling, and pretty long gig at that job. I was in Galesville a couple years before that, and I was a middle school coach in Brainerd, Minnesota for 3 years. And then at the end of time, I did cross country and golf, and you know, all three individual sports, just good team kinds of things for kids to be involved in if they want to do it. So
right.
You don't get many bums either. Kids either want to be there. If a kid's going to come out and run cross country for you, you don't have to talk too much to him because it's painful.
Well, there's
going to want to do that.
There's more to Dave Rudrud than that. I can assure you that when we get to it, we're going to talk about the other parts of his resume. But before we talk about Bi-State, which is right around the corner, and one of the reasons we wanted you on was just to review a little bit. You had something like 250 wins over your 27 years. 66 athletes went to the state under your coaching years. And you just put Holman High School on the map. I mean, that's a pretty impressive legacy throughout the years of you being there. Talk a little bit about some of your favorite moments through those years.
Well, that's a tough call. I never really considered that I was much of a technician or a strategist. I was probably more of a strategist or a tactician than a technician. I felt if you could get kids to where they could perform, they would perform, and that was always just, you know, that was my way of going about getting the job done.
But how did you do that? How did you encourage and motivate? What was your style producing so much success? Let's be honest. I mean, Holman had incredible success over the years, and you were a big part of that.
We won more than we lost, and I still think that most of it was just making it possible for people to perform. And then I worked pretty hard, and I expected the people around me to work as hard. And if they didn't, they caught some flack for that. And I'm not a real quiet guy.
Here's the interesting part of that, though, Dave.
I can bite pretty hard.
I don't know if you know this, Larry, or our viewers know this, but Dave and I went to school together. What's an interesting story here, kind of a sidebar, is the fact that you did not wrestle in high school and you did not wrestle in college. And despite that, all the awards and honors, and your name is certainly synonymous with prep wrestling. What a phenomenal story.
When I went to Brainerd, Minnesota, I ended up in middle school, and you had to coach something, and they flipped a coin. I got track, and you know, I don't want to denigrate track because it's a lot of work too, but you know, the AD was what's to do. You know, you tell them to run fast and turn right. Anybody can do that. I needed an assistant. A guy by the name of Bruce Thompson ended up in our district that year. Bruce went to Valley State, was an All-American. He was the wrestling coach. He needed an assistant. So we spent 3 seasons together, and I probably learned a lot of real basic tactical stuff about the sport from Bruce, who was a pretty hard-nosed North Dakota wrestler. Then into middle school programming, and then really was an organizing force behind a lot of stuff. I became involved in USA Wrestling when it was struggling with the AAU for the right of control as we did that. I became the state chairman for freestyle and Greco in Wisconsin, and then the national kids chairman, which put you in the NGB for the sport. So I was on the national board of directors. Committee work there included coaches selection committee, so I was part of picking the coaches for the 92 games, and so as a result of all that, we did team travel. So it was the World Championships in Switzerland in '89, and I was the team leader for our Greco World team in Rome in '90, and '91 in Tokyo. But I also got to work in '88 at the Olympic Games in Seoul. I was the Rocky Aoki, who owns Benihana, the franchise, and he's a balloonist. Rocky gave us $25,000 in medal enhancement funds for those games, and I was the fund distributor.
It's kind of funny you talked about, for our viewers, you talked about running track and going right. It's you gave away your age, because now when you run track, you go left.
Well, so it was the track you were on, you know. And some kids we ran backwards because we wound them up so much. We had to tell them they had to go the other way, and the same thing with cross country. You know, you kind of work your way around the grid in a circle to end up back in the same spot. And we always laid it out that way. It was easier for us.
For our young viewers that are watching this way, if you're going to run track, go left.
Yeah.
Don't go right.
Unless you're like me and you're trying to get out of there.